Welcome to the Bettors Edge. This is Rusty Betts, your co-host, Randee the Parlay Killer. We'll be breaking down UFC Fight Night 188 at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas with the main event, middleweight bout at 185 pounds, Derek the Human Blanket Brunson versus Kevin the Trailblazer Holland. Before we get into that, let's go ahead and discuss some MMA news. So big news announced from the UFC and Dana White this past week. UFC 261 will take place on April 24th at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Area in Jacksonville, Florida, for the very first time since the pandemic in front of a full capacity crowd of 15,000. It's going to be 3 title fights. There's going to be Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas for the women's strawweight belt. Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade for the women's flyweight belt, and the rematch, the one that Jorge wanted, the one Kamaru asked in the last pay-per-view, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. They're running it back, welterweight championship. What are your thoughts on this, Randee?
Those are some good fights, actually. Rose is going to get her second chance at a belt against Weili Zhang. Weili Zhang has been looking good lately. She's just coming off that win over Joanna Jędrzejczyk last year, fight of the year last year. Jessica Andrade, she's moving up. This is going to be her second fight at 125. She's fighting the champ, Valentina Shevchenko. That's going to be a good fight as well. Jessica Andrade, she really looked good against Caitlin Chookagian in her last fight. And then the rematch with Usman and Masvidal. Last fight, Masvidal took it on 6 days' notice. We'll see what he can do with a full camp. Should be a good one.
Should be a very good one. Jorge with a full camp, he can get very interesting. I do see the lines opening a little bit closer than what it was back at Fight Island, which it should be since he has a full camp. But we're a month away from that card. I thought the last pay-per-view with those 3 title fights was amazing. I can't believe that UFC is doing this again so soon. So be on the lookout for that, guys. All right. If you guys watch Dominic Cruz's UFC 259 post interview with Joe Rogan, a lot of you guys may have asked, who the hell is Hans Molekamp? If you didn't watch it, here's what Dominic Cruz said.
He's been forcing us to comment on his photos, forcing us to do videos and pictures with them, just in order to hold our contracts hostage. So let's see, you put your money where your mouth is, Hans, and let's do something for charity.
I'm sorry this has become a political event, but listen, Dom, I love you. Congratulations, sir. A huge victory over a really tough young guy, and I can't wait to see you again.
Joe, not political. This is Monster Energy.
Oh, I understand.
So who is Hans Molekamp? Well, Hans Molekamp is an executive who works for Monster Energy. They're a major sponsor of the UFC, as you guys know. Apparently, he has the power and decides which fighters are awarded Monster sponsorship. Apparently, Dominic Cruz is claiming Molekamp is holding a lot of fighters hostage through some unfair contracts. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I can see how he says they're held hostage, but really, what is he asking them to do? You know, comment on Instagram. You know, comment, like their pictures. You're getting money for doing that. You know what I mean? Is it really that much to do?
So my point exactly. You're getting paid to do this, and you're complaining. Shit, people working 9-to-5 jobs, not liking what they do all day. But Dominic asked for
charity fight.
Charity fight. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but there's a big weight discrepancy there. But we dug up some things and we found some things about Hans. Dana White posted this on his Instagram a few years back about Hans Molekamp. And this is what he said. So basically, just like what Randee said, Hans is asking, fighters to take pictures just to build up their clout and whatnot. But hey, that's if you're in the marketing world, that's how it goes, right? And I don't know too much about Hans, but it seems like he's been in the business for quite some time. And looks like in recent interviews, Dana is defending Monster since they are a good sponsor to the UFC. But I haven't heard any other fighters talking about this whole situation that Dominic brought up. Have you?
I know Michael Bisping. He brought it up in his podcast. I guess Hans Molenkamp called him one time asking, if they're friends or whatnot. Michael Bisping told him straight up that they're business associates. They're not friends. They don't hang out. Their families don't hang out. Shortly after that, Bisping was no longer sponsored by Monster.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Crazy things like that, right? And then I guess his photographer, Hans's old photographer, just came out recently, stating that he was actually like treated like he was nothing. I guess he was at his nephew's football game one day, and then Hans just called him, stating that he needed him in LA, and pretty much what the photographer told him was like he's at a football game, and then Hans just told him, if I tell you to do something, you do it. Shortly after that, he quit. So that just shows, the kind of character that Hans Molenkamp was. Just treats people unfairly and whatnot.
Well,
I don't know.
What it sounds to me is like a lot of people can relate. Sounds like your boss at work. So,
yeah.
Like it or not, whatever. All right, cool. Any other MMA news you want to share?
I don't know if you should talk about this, but I heard Valerie Loretta on Twitter.
The Bellator fighter.
The Bellator fighter, Valerie Loretta, coming out of American Top Team. I guess she's doing the same thing Rachel Ostovich and Paige Van Zandt's doing. I guess she has her, not an OnlyFans, but I guess it's on her website or something like that. I guess she, not sure if we're supposed to talk about this, but I guess she had news just came out recently.
Well, I did not know that. We're not going to post anything about this stuff, guys, so you guys got to do your own research. But hey, you guys heard it first here, all right? All right, cool. So that wraps up. Now let's go ahead and break down the 3 key fights we looked into for UFC Fight Night 188, Vegas 22, whatever you want to call it. And let's go ahead and start off with the prelim main event. We got the bantamweight bout at 135 pounds. Number 9 ranked Marion Reneau versus number 11 Macy Chiasson. Marion opens up at a plus 175, where Macy is a favorite at minus 210. Marion's basically over her hill here. She's currently 43 years old. Currently trains at a Trifecta MMA in Visalia, California, and is on a 3-fight losing streak. Although those losses are coming by way of Kat Zingano, Tana Kunitskaya, and Raquel Pennington. So big names there. We got Macy, 29 years old, winner of the Ultimate Fighter 28, with her only loss to Lena Landsberg. So what's your take?
This is a good fight. You got the veteran fighting, I don't want to say fighting the up-and-comer. There's a big age discrepancy here. 13, 14 years, I believe. Marion Reneau, she's just coming off of 3 straight losses. I believe she's the oldest fighter right now in the women's division, or in all of women's MMA in the UFC. But granted, those 3 losses are coming off of all contenders. Raquel Pennington, she fought for a title. Yana Kunitskaya, she's top 5 probably right now. And then before that was who was before that? Kat Zingano. Mm-hmm. Another title contender. Those are 3 tough fights. Let's see if she can still do it. Macy Chiasson, former Ultimate Fighter champion. She's been looking good since she dropped down to 135. Very good fighter. She's big for the weight class. I think she's the biggest girl in that weight class, actually, standing at 5'11". From what I read too, they were actually supposed to fight last year or whatnot, and then I guess it was COVID related, so she had to pull out. Not only that, but I know this is gonna be her first fight after coming off of a heart procedure last year. So let's see how she can do.
For sure. I do see this as a classic passing of the torch fight. As you can see, matchmakers have put together the younger versus older fighter. She's a name, Marion Reneau. Um, and let's see what happens here. It is the main event for the prelims. So I do see Sean Shelby and folks, doing this on purpose to put some recognition on Macy. But who knows? Marion could just uh, upset their plans. As you can see, the odds makers do have her as the underdog here. Great fight. We're going to go ahead and fast forward all the way to the co-main event here. It's going to be a 155 lightweight bout versus number 15, Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. Gregor opens up at a minus 245 favorite, and Brad Riddell is currently the underdog sitting at plus 205. Gregor has a 13-1 record. His last fight was back in 2019, which resulted in his only loss, losing to Kevin Lee by head kick knockout, if you guys remember that fight. But he does have finishes over Yancy Medeiros and Vince Pichel. As for Brad Riddell, only with one loss as well, with his only loss coming by. Do you remember who he fought or who he lost to?
Who, Brad Riddell?
Yeah.
Who Brad Riddell lost to?
Yeah.
Brad Riddell, he lost a while back.
He did lose a while back early in his career.
Yeah. Let me see. Brad Riddell lost to. Well, he's not. It wasn't in the UFC. Abel Brides by armbar.
Okay. It was early in his career, but in the UFC, he's had 3 fights so far, but this New Zealander hasn't had a finish yet. He is a tough fighter, but he's going against Grego, who is the more experienced fighter here. What do you think about this fight?
This is I think this week's fight of the card, fight of the night. Yeah. This is probably going to be the one. A lot of the lightweights are going to be looking at this fight, see who actually moves up in the rankings. Everyone wants to see how Gregor Gillespie is going to do after a year and a half layoff. He's actually, in my opinion, if not the number 1, the number 2 wrestler right now in the division with Khabib. It's probably him and Makhachev. They're the 2 best wrestlers right now in the division. He's a former wrestling champion out of college. Very good wrestler. Takes down all of his opponents. He's in shape all 3 rounds. But this is going to be his first fight coming off a knockout loss to Kevin Lee. Let's see how he does. After that. Brad Riddell, he comes out of a city kickboxing with Adesanya, Volkanovski, Kai Kara France, Carl Zulberg, guys. This is going to be, city kickboxing didn't do too well 2 weeks ago, with Adesanya and Carlos Ulberg doing. So I don't know if the morale is low at city kickboxing, but Brad Riddell, he's shown to be a very good lightweight. Really, he's a former kickboxer. Very good takedown defense. Fought Alex Coelho, his last fight, looked good. Magomed Mustafayev, before that, he looked good. Yeah, he's been looking good. This is a good fight. This is a good fight. Fight of night for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic striker versus grappler matchup, with Gillespie having all that wrestling experience, being a national champion, being a 4-time national champion. But the layoff is always the question, especially with 2020 being a difficult year for a lot of people. So that always, I would like to go ahead and look back and see how was his training. Did he just train at home, or was he able to go in the gym and whatnot? But it's an interesting fight, and it's definitely a fight of the night in the making. But yeah, like you said, city kickboxing needs to build up the morale here. They have a few fighters on the card, so let's see how they do and whatnot. Let's go ahead and talk about attributes here. Who has the better striking?
Better striking, 100%. You got to give it to Brad Riddell. He's a former kickboxer. He trains at a primarily a striking gym as well, at City Kickboxing. He was a striking coach at Tiger Muay Thai for a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely Brad Riddell. Grego Gillespie, his stand-up is good too. He trains out of Belmore Kickboxing. That's a stand-up school as well. But it's attributes wise, Brad Riddell is a better striker, hands down.
For sure. Gillespie does have some hands, but again, the better striker does go to Brad Riddell here. I'm going to go ahead and just talk for both of us. The grappling has to go to Gregor just because of his background, just because of Brad's prior martial arts experience. So the grappling goes to Gregor. But what about stamina?
Oh, it's Gillespie. Yeah, you look at all his fights. This guy does not get tired. This guy's in shape all the time. You look at his Instagram. All this guy is doing is hiking, fishing, working out. That's all this guy does. He looks really, really in tip-top shape right now. Like I really don't think ring rust will be a factor in here. It's actually good. Actually, after coming off a knockout, you take that time off, the year and a half. That's probably actually good for him. It's going to benefit him in this case. Some fighters actually like to come back maybe like within a year after getting knocked out. I think that's too soon. It's I think Gillespie actually took the right amount of time off. He's in shape. He's hungry. It's good for him.
That's a good point. After suffering a knockout like that, some time in between does help a lot of fighters. I do have to say that with the wrestlers, especially when talking to wrestlers, they're always in not 100%, right? Their neck, their body aches and whatnot. But this time off definitely helps Gillespie, I would say. So we have the striking advantage to Riddell in grappling and stamina over to Gillespie. So he has the advantage out of these three attributes. Okay. Now let's talk about our main event at 185 pounds. At middleweight, number 7, Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. We got Kevin Holland sitting as the favorite at -175, and Derek Brunson as the underdog at +145. Derek Brunson has fought probably one of the best fighters right now at 185. Although he's lost too many, his losses come from Israel Adesanya, Jacare, Anderson Silva, Robert Whitaker, Yoel Romero. Who else, right? And we got Kevin Holland, 5-fight winning streak with current wins over Anthony Hernandez, Darren Stewart, and Jacare. So what do you think about this fight?
Oh, this is a good main event as well. You got the veteran fighting a potential contender. He's actually the breakout fighter of the year last year for 2020. Looked very good in his fight with Jacare. Derek Brunson as a big underdog coming off that upset win over Edmund Shabazian. Everybody thought Shabazian was the future. Well, he still is the future. He's still young. But Derek Brunson, he put a stop to that hype train. This is the next hype train he needs to stop. Well, he's been looking good coming off of Sanford MMA since he's been training at Sanford MMA. This is going to be, I believe, his second fight fighting out of that camp. It looked very good in his last fight. Kevin Holland, he had that split decision win over. Was his last fight against Darren Stewart, or was it against Jacare?
Jacare.
It was against Jacare?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, that win over Jacare, that's his best win so far. So yeah, good job from the matchmakers, Sean Shelby and Nick Maynard. Good fight.
They're definitely liking Kevin Holland. He was probably one of the most active folks in 2020 alongside Chimaev, right?
Yeah. He was 5-0 last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of fights, man. Definitely active. He has that on his side. I feel like Kevin Holland is at the stage of his career which Derek Brunson was, where he's had a lot of there's there's been a lot of key defining fights for his career. And if Kevin Holland can beat the experienced Derek Brunson, that will show the division that he is legit.
Right. Well, Derek Brunson himself, he's on a 3-fight winning. Yeah, this is a great fight. Yeah. 3-fight winning streak as well.
It's definitely a career-defining fight for both fighters right now. So great main event. So let's talk about it. We're gonna go ahead and talk about our picks for the whole fight card for UFC Fight Night 188. Let's go ahead and go down to the prelims, and let's talk about how about Bruno Silva versus JP Buys.
Yeah, that's gonna be the first fight. This is an interesting fight. I'm surprised this is actually the first fight on the card. JP Buys. He's him and his wife are actually fighting on the same card. Cheyenne Buys.
Okay.
So I believe they're the second couple to fight on second married couple to fight on a UFC card. The first one's being the De La Rosas. In this fight, JP Buys, he's gonna be his first UFC fight, coming off of that win over Jacob Silva on the Contender Series. Bruno Silva, he's actually on a 2-fight losing streak, but the 2 guys he lost to are very good contender, very good prospects in my opinion at the 125 division. He's one of Henry Cejudo's main training partners. Keep that in account. If you look at the betting lines, you can see that line actually moved a lot for Bruno Silva.
Big time. We got
big time.
Opening up at close to a plus 200, dropping down to plus 120. And excuse me, JP Buys basically opening up at a minus 280, dropping down to minus 160. And that's something that you should raise your eyebrows to. I do agree with you. And I did look into Bruno Silva training, and it makes me wonder. So who you got for this fight?
Yeah, despite those 2 losses, you could even say 3 losses, but then the only reason why it's not 3 losses is because 3 fights ago, the guy he lost to, Khalid Taha, I think he got busted for steroids or something. But but still, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Those 2 fights that he lost, he was very competitive in. He did not get blown out of the water. JP Buys, he's a younger guy. He's a very good wrestler. He was on a national wrestling team for South Africa. He's trained out of Team Alpha Male for a bit. Now he's training with Fortis MMA with his wife. He looks like the real deal. But I still can't forget about how he lost to Jacoby Sanchez on the Contender Series 3 years ago. It's just, and on top of that, his disqualification win over that Russian dude at Brave on Brave FC. He was losing that fight as well. Bruno Silva, he knows what's coming. He's training with the best wrestler in MMA, really, Henry Cejudo.
It's fast.
You know, I don't care about the 2 losses. He's been competitive in those 2 losses. He knows his back's behind the wall in this fight. I agree with the line movement. I like Bruno Silva in this fight. I'll take the underdog.
I'm with you there. I think lines makers corrected themselves when they first opened this line. They brought it all the way down. Like you said, he's training with the best, Henry Cejudo. And as you know, since he's retired, he has more time to train with these guys, be their sparring partner. So I think what we're going to see is a better Bruno Silva with a vengeance. And he's going to show the UFC why he needs to stay. I believe I read that it is his last fight on his contract. So I think this is make it or break it for him. I'm going to go ahead and lean Silva here as well.
You do, as an MMA fan, you do want to see JP Buys and his wife win together on the same card. But, you know, there's no script here in the UFC. This is not WWE, you know.
This is not WWE. Not WWE.
Yeah, so
All
yeah,
right,
I like Bruno Silva.
for sure. Same here. Now to the women's bantamweight bout. Interesting fight here. Number 15, Julia Villa versus Julia or
Yes, Julia, the battle of the Julias.
the Julia
It's just spelled. Yes, it's just
Stoliarenko.
spelled a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So we have Avia opening up as a big favorite here at minus 365 in most places, and Stoliarenko as the underdog at plus 260. What do you think?
I like Julia Villa a lot in this fight. She's coming off that loss to Sujara Eubanks. She looked good in that first round, but Sujara Eubanks, she's very good at taking people down. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion as well. So hopefully Julia Villa, she worked on that ground game. Julia Stoliarenko, she's actually a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's actually fought in Lithway. It's kind of like Muay Thai, but with headbutts. You know,
Really?
so yeah, she fought in that. She has good striking as well. But I like Julia Villa. She's minus 350 for a reason. If you take MMA math into account, Julia Villa beat Pani Kianzad. Was it Pani Kianzad?
Let me see. I believe
Yeah,
so.
was
Yeah.
it Pani Kianzad? Did she? She did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she beat Pani Kianzad, and then Pani Kianzad, I believe, she beat Julia Stoliarenko. So I don't know. If MMA math doesn't work all the time, but I like Julia Villa a lot in this fight. Julia Stoliarenko, she's her fights are just too close, really. And I really think Julia Villa's her her ceiling is very high, actually. On top of that, this card actually has a lot of it's weird, you know, you got a police officer fighting on this card, you got a PE teacher fighting on this card. Julia Villa, she's actually a geologist fighting on this card. You know what I mean? That's crazy. But yeah, I like the geologist in this fight.
I'm gonna have to agree with you here. The line says it all. Avia has been a favorite in almost every fight, or actually every fight in the UFC. This line opened up as a minus 300. She's a minus 400 in some places. She looked very good against Eubanks. I don't see any other way. I can't see the Stoliarenko winning, even with her headbutt experience. Maybe Julie can win by DQ. Who knows? But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with the odds makers here. She's a big favorite for a reason. So we're both going Julia. So far, we're agreeing on the last two fights. Let's see if that continues or not. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. What do we have here? Let me just load this up.
Been a Montel Jackson fight.
Is it the Montel Jackson fight?
Yeah.
It's the Montel Jackson versus Jesse Strader here. Jesse Strader, I don't know too much about, truly. Have you looked into this guy? Montel Jackson is a big favorite here. Maybe for a reason. Some places have him at a minus 800. Most places minus 750. Jesse Strader plus 500.
Yeah, so Jesse Strader, he's fighting out of Southern California. His only loss is to, if you remember that fight last week, Marcelo Rojo and Charles Jourdain. It should have been fight of the night. They did not get a bonus last week, but yeah, Jesse Strader's only loss came by TKO to Marcelo Rojo. He's more of a stand-up artist. Most of his wins come by KO or TKO. But in my opinion, he's a little too mechanical, not really that fluid. Montel Jackson, he's minus 700 for a reason. He's got length at that weight class. He's got height. He's very good with his defensive wrestling. Good, very good stand up. Got experience. His only losses were to Ricky Simone, where he got taken down multiple times, and then Brett Johns. That was a close fight. Jesse Strader is not a wrestler. He's not a very good wrestler in my opinion, or from the footage that I've seen. I like Montel Jackson a lot. He's minus 700 for a reason. I'll go with the big favorite.
Yeah, I mean, from what you just said about Jesse Strader, it sounds like a stylistic mismatch, and that's why Montel Jackson is this big of a favorite. What do you think? Do you think the odds makers have it on point here? Do you think Montel should have been lower?
Yeah. During this, at this point, like in the UFC, you don't want to see minus 700s. You know what I mean? Like everybody that makes it to the UFC is very good. It's just kind of disrespectful to the underdog in this case. They're making it to the UFC. They're the best people in the world. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind if you take a shot at Jesse Strader. I don't see him winning, but I don't mind if you just sprinkle a little bit if you're a degenerate. You know what I mean?
Hey, I do think that's accurate. They are all pros. It's a fight sport. Everyone has a puncher's chance, and at the end of the day, it's like the NFL. They're all pros. You don't want to see a minus 30 favorite, minus 20 point spread favorite. So yeah, but yeah, Montel Jackson minus 750, 700. It's a good parlay. It's a party adder. Yeah, I like him too. All right. Let's move on to Trevin Giles versus Roman Dolidze. Middleweight bout. Interesting fight. What's your take?
Okay, so this is another good fight. Trevor Giles is 13-2. Roman Dolidze is 8-0. He's fighting out of Georgia. Or he's from Georgia. This is actually going to be Roman Dolidze's first fight at 185. On top of that, he's taking this fight on short notice, so we don't know how he looks. We don't know how he's going to look at 185, taking it on short notice. Trevor Giles, he's one of those guys like Stipe Miocic, who does not do this full time. He actually has a full-time job on the side. He's a full-time police officer, but he's actually looked pretty good in all his fights. He looked very good against Bevan Lewis. He was in a fight of the night with James Krause. James Krause took that out. Granted, he took that on 1 day's notice. But in my opinion, Roman Dolidze, he's known as being a very good grappler. But his 2 wins in the UFC against Claudius I don't know. I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. He was the worst guy at 205 I've ever seen, especially coming out of Russia. Khadis Ibrahimov. And then John Allen, that was a split decision, could have gone either way. Despite winning 2 in the UFC, those ones weren't really good, in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Trevor Giles, the underdog in this fight.
Interesting. You bring up some good points with Roman's past fights and Trevor Giles not being able to train fully. This was a tough one for me to pick, and just based on line movement alone and what the spread opened up as, I'm not confident at all. I'm going to side with the favorite here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Roman Dolidze just because I feel like people tend to get better after their past fights, and I just feel Trevin has been an underdog many times here. And based off his last fight, I did expect him to be the favorite. So I'm going to trust the odds makers and roll with Roman here. All right. Next, we got Leonardo Santos versus Grant Dawson. Leonardo Santos, very, very interesting fight. Still an underdog, though, respectfully against Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson is currently sitting at a minus 200, whereas in Santos is at a plus 160. Who do you have?
I was looking at the odds earlier today. Yeah, I can see money's pouring on Santos. Yeah, the line just went down, right?
It did go down about 30, 20 points. Yeah.
Yeah, Santos is actually he's underdog going into this fight. He's undefeated in the UFC. He has won the draw against Norman Park. Grant Dawson, this is going to be his first fight at 155 in the UFC. I was going back and forth with this fight just a little bit. You got a 41-year-old Leonardo Santos, very good jiu-jitsu, very good at jiu-jitsu. Against Grant Dawson, I'm very high on the Glory MMA fitness camp out of Kansas with James Krause. James Krause, he's kind of like the modern day Greg Jackson, a very good strategist. Out of that camp, Grant Dawson, he's the diamond in the rough, really, in that weight in that gym. He's the best guy coming out of that gym. He's one of the coaches, along with James Krause, usually cornering the fighters every time you see fighters going to the UFC. He's one of those guys. Grant Dawson, he's still young. I think this jump in weight class is actually going to benefit him. This is actually one of my stronger picks. I would even say he's probably a lock. I like Grant Dawson a lot. I know he's going to have to take Leonardo Santos down because that's part of his game plan. But I'm actually going to favor the wrestling over BJJ in this case. Leonardo Santos, he's just too inactive, in my opinion. He fights once a year, sometimes once in 2 years or 3 years, or whatever the case may be. He's just not active enough. 41 at this age is just, I don't want to say too old in my opinion, but he's one of the older lightweights. And I just like Grant Dawson in this case, I'm sure James Krause has them. He has a very good strategy going into this fight, and I trust that they do. I like Grant Dawson. I think Grant Dawson is a future contender in his weight class as well. He's going to be a top 5 guy eventually. Give me Grant Dawson. Give me the favorite.
He definitely appears to be on paper. What I wonder though, he's pretty built, and if this weight cut is going to be a problem. On paper, he looks good. His resume looks good. But you know what? The public does agree with you. Close to 75%, the highest consensus on the card so far for a fight pick. The public is on Grant Dawson. With the line movement looking sketchy and the public pounding Grant Dawson, I don't blame them. But based off all of that, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Leonardo Santos here. I feel like if it goes to the ground, and I feel like this weight cut bothers him, because I wish I could see his weight today and what the line looks like after the weigh-ins. I feel like if it goes to the ground, Santos has a good chance of submitting him or giving him some good ground and pound. But we will see. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Leonardo Santos here, just due off the public consensus. All right, and we talked about this in our breakdown. We have the main event for the prelims. Number 9, Marion Reneau versus number 11, Macy Chiasson. Who do you have here?
All right. I'm a Marion Reneau fan. Like I said in the breakdown earlier, she is coming off three losses. Granted, those are against 3 very high caliber UFC fighters, contenders, if anything. Yeah, they're all contenders. Kat Zingano, Raquel Pennington, Yana Kunitskaya. She's on the way up. As an MMA fan, you want to see Marion Reneau win. She's a PE teacher. Yeah. She's a PE teacher. She's a full-time PE teacher. She's a role model for all her kids. You know what I mean? Like, you genuinely want to see people like this
Who doesn't like their
do
PE
good. Yeah, for sure. You want to see her do good. But at this age, in the UFC, MMA, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just all that matters is who's a better fighter come that night, right? I like Macy Chiasson in this fight. She's the bigger fighter, the younger fighter. She's training out of the better gym. She has some kind of momentum on her side. She's not on a losing streak. What worries me about picking Macy Chiasson though is in her last 2 fights she did show some kind of fatigue going into the later rounds. Marion Reneau, she does not gas out. You know, despite her age, 43, I've never seen her gas out. You know, she's fit. You know, she's a PE teacher for a reason. You know, but Father Time is undefeated. I like Macy Chiasson a lot, despite being. I know she went under a heart procedure. This is gonna be her first fight after this heart procedure that she had last year. I'm not sure what kind of heart procedure she had. But yeah, she had some kind of heart procedure last year, and COVID. So I'm just money wise. I have to bet Macy Chiasson. I have no confidence in picking Marion Reneau. I gotta go Macy.
I 100% agree with you here. There's a reason why they're the main event for the prelims. Marion Reneau is a name. Chiasson is an up-and-comer, winner of Ultimate Fighter. I feel like they want to show fans who Chiasson is. She's a favorite for a reason. With everything good, there is an expiration date. I have no choice. I'm going to go ahead and pick Macy. No way to change my mind here. And I do see her winning and finishing Marion Reneau, sending Marion Reneau into retirement, actually. Big fight there. That wraps up our prelims. Let's go ahead and move on to what is it? The main card? Did he put like 6 fights in the main card nowadays?
Sometimes they put 5, sometimes they put 6. It's kind of funny, though. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it depends if people drop out or how fast the fights are, maybe. But it looks like the card is going to open up with Cheyenne Bays versus Montserrat Ruiz. As Randee mentioned earlier, Cheyenne Bays is the wife or girlfriend? Wife of
wife.
JP Bays, right? I do not know much about Montserrat Ruiz. Ruiz is currently a big underdog in some places, close to a plus 300, whereas Cheyenne Bays is at minus 365 in most places. So break this down for me.
All right, so Montserrat Ruiz, she's an Invicta veteran. She trains out of King's MMA with Master Rafael Cordero. She also trains out of Mexico too, Ensham Gym, if I'm not mistaken. Cheyenne Bays, you're right. Yeah, she's a wife of JP Bays in this case. Also an Invicta veteran. This is going to be her first fight in the UFC. She's coming off that Contender Series win over who is she fighting? Rose, what's her name?
For sure, Hillary Rose.
Yeah,
right?
Hillary Rose. Yeah. But she looked very good in that fight. So she's training out of Fortis MMA as well. The fight before this, Macy Chiasson. There's going to be Fortis MMA is going to have 3 fighters fighting on this card: JP Bays, Macy Chiasson, and then Cheyenne Bays. This is a tough fight, actually. Shy Base, she's also the amateur champion for Tough Enough out here in Vegas when she was still an amateur. Well, Montserrat Ruiz, she's got 10 wins as a professional already. She has a wrestling background. Her only loss was to Invicta to former UFC veteran. What's her name? Former UFC veteran Daniel Taylor. But then Daniel Taylor, she has that tricky style. She's kind of like a like a John Dodson, so small and just running away all the time. I don't know. Do you want to consider it a loss? I don't know. Sometimes just those fights, Pedro Munoz lost to John Dodson because, John Dodson's one of those puzzle fighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the upset here. I like Montserrat Ruiz. She shows toughness in all of her fights. One thing I don't like about Montserrat Ruiz is she's always going for that head and arm takedown. It's a little amateurish, in my opinion, but she does it all the time. She likes it. Hey, whatever works.
Wow.
But I like her toughness. I like the experience. Despite taking this on short notice, Cheyenne Bays was actually supposed to fight Kay Hansen, but I do like Montserrat Ruiz. It's probably gonna be close, but I like Montserrat Ruiz. I'll take the upset.
Wow, that's crazy because honestly, I was waiting for the big underdog of the card, and like I said, I didn't know much about Ruiz, but I know more about Cheyenne Bays, and I didn't like when I saw that Kate Hansen pulled out. I feel like she's overlooking Ruiz. I feel like this is a big potential upset stylistically. She does not know what to expect. The lines makers have this way too high, giving her too much respect. Looks like Mr. and Mrs. Bays isn't going to have a good night. I do agree with you. I'm going with Ruiz here, and I see a lot of value in this. As you can see, she opened up at a plus 260, and in some places dropping to plus 245. But I like it too. I like this underdog here. All right. Very, very intriguing fight next in a welterweight bout. We have Song Kenan versus Max Griffin. Who do you like?
I know a lot of people like Song Kenan. I don't like Song Kenan. I like Max Griffin actually in this fight. According to Tapology, 66% is going set Song Kenan. Just like Max Griffin, he looked good in that last fight against Max Brahimaj. Also another fighter coming out of Fortis MMA. I'm high on that gym. But I like Max Griffin. I know he's 35 years old. That's somewhat old. I don't want to say it's old, but it's older, right? Yeah, he's getting older. Song Kenan, he has power in his hands. He's fast. But I'm gonna go with the veteran, really. Max Griffin. I like his wins over Max Griffin. I don't know. I like Max Griffin's wins over what's that one dude? Mike Perry.
Big win over Mike Perry.
Yeah, he was an underdog in that fight. He looked good. His stand-up looks good.
Also against Cowboy though, right?
Who?
Max Griffin. Alex Oliveira.
Oh yeah. He did. Split decision though.
Yeah, close fight.
But yeah, I'm gonna go Max Griffin.
I like it too. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I just can't pick Song here. I like Max's experience, and every fight he's definitely someone that you fear being against. Let's just put it that way. So just keep it short. I like Max Griffin too. All right, we got a battle bout. Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. Who do you like?
All right, so Adrian Yanez, Mini Masvidal. Everyone's calling him Mini Masvidal. His stand-up is crisp. It looks beautiful. It's
His kicks are like Masvidal.
Yeah, he's very technical. Gustavo Lopez, he has a background in wrestling. He wrestled in high school, wrestled in college. He trains out here in Vegas at Extreme Couture. He has a lot of good guys that he's training with, you know, Danige, you know, Kai Kamaka, Boston Salmon, you know, he has a lot of good guys that he's training with. He's coming off that win to Anthony Burchak. He fought his training partner pretty much. His only loss in the UFC was to Mirab Divalishvili. In my opinion, he's mini Khabib at the 135-week class. But I think sky's the limit for Adrian Yanez, actually. Despite fighting out of Metro Fight Club in Texas, he is he's their diamond in the rough over there. Yanez, I think this kid is special. He's definitely going to be a top 10 guy, in my opinion, or a top 15 guy in the future. I like his style. His stand-up looks good. Looks really, really good. Give me an Adrian Yanez in this fight.
I can't disagree with you. We're agreeing with a lot here, but I can't disagree with you here too. I'm gonna go Adrian Yanez just because of all the things you just mentioned here. I like his stand-up a lot. I feel like the line could have been closer here, just slightly, but he is a minus 225, and I do agree with the odds makers. So I am with Adrian against Gustavo Lopez. All right, got another city kickboxing guy here, Tai Tuivasa versus Dontel Mays in this what, the only heavyweight fight on the card.
All right, so Tai Tuivasa, he's not fighting on Dontel Mays anymore. Dontel Mays pulled out for some reason. So Tai Tuivasa, he's actually fighting Harry Hunsucker.
Crazy, and that hasn't been updated yet. What does that mean? The line is going to be outrageous here?
Yeah, I can't see anybody picking. In my opinion, you know, odds never come out yet. I don't know. You can prove me wrong. I don't know.
Who is
the odds came out for? Harry Hunsucker.
He fought in the UFC already?
He's fighting off the Contender Series, which he lost.
Oh, I remember picking that. I remember picking that guy. I think yeah.
Yeah, Hunsucker lost to who did Hunsucker lose to? Jared Vanderaa. Well, he fought one more time after his loss to after the Contender Series. He lost in the first round to Jared Vanderaa, and then he had a fight in HR MMA after that, the original scene. He's coming off a KO TKO in the first round, but in my opinion, the odds never. Did the odds come out yet on Best Fight Odds or no?
No odds. They didn't even announce it. They didn't even show it on the lines yet.
I'm predicting Tai Tuivasa should come out at a minus 700 or up. My opinion. He should be up in that area. Who the fuck is gonna pick Harry Hunsucker?
They are heavyweights though, and they have a better. They are heavyweights though.
It's too short notice. Harry Hunsucker lost on the Contender Series. Is he even supposed to be here? Is he really supposed to be here?
Let me throw a challenge to any of our viewers here. If you guys are watching and you hear this conversation here, if you guys bet Harry Hunsucker, show me your ticket and I will double your money. I will double your money, I promise you. Show me your ticket with no parlays, straight wager. Whatever you win, I'll double that. All right?
That's crazy.
I agree with Randee here. I don't know nothing about the other guy. I do remember betting on him and losing. But short notice heavyweight and Tuivasa coming off a loss, right? He lost on Fight Island, from what I remember.
No. Tuivasa's coming off that win over Stefan Struve in Fight Island.
That's right. I think I'm thinking about somebody else. But yeah.
On top of that, he's looked like a different animal since training out of AKA.
Yeah, he has. I like him a lot. Training with DC, them guys. So, I mean, sorry to disrespect the other guy, but yeah, Tai Tuivasa. I can't help it.
Yeah, he's like he's the next Mark Hunt, really. Like a lot of people are claiming for him to be the next Mark Hunt.
For sure. That's all we think about when we see a fight.
Yeah.
All right. And now for the co-main and main events. We already broke these down. So we're going to go ahead and just fast forward and give you who we like for these next two fights. We got number 15 ranked Grego Gillespie versus Brad Riddell in a lightweight bout. Who do you have?
Oh, this fight. Yeah, this definitely is fight of the night. Brad Riddell is training out of City Kickboxing. He knows what Grego is going to do. We all know the takedowns are coming. Everyone knows. He knows. Grego knows. All the coaches know. All the fans know. Gregor's going for the takedowns. He's really one of the better wrestlers in that division. Brad Riddell, he's fought wrestlers already. In Magomed Mustafayev, but he got taken down a couple times. He won that fight, though. Showed good takedown defense, but he did get taken down multiple times. He got taken down multiple times against Alex Coelho, also in that first fight. I mean, in his last fight. I do like what made my decision is I don't know, Grego Gillespie. He's in tip-top shape. The guy just does not get tired. He's I like when in doubt, pick the wrestler, really, in my opinion.
I like that.
Yeah, I like Grego Gillespie. He's still young. Hopefully he's taking the right amount of time off of that knockout loss. He's hungry. And if you see in all his Instagram pics, all he's saying is best wrestler in MMA, best fisher in MMA, best hiker in MMA, hashtag. All of his Instagram pictures. It's all of that. Best wrestler in MMA, best hiker, best fisher. You know, he's always working out. You know, he's a champion in wrestling. I like Grego Gillespie. On top of that, it's his birthday tomorrow. If anything, it's his birthday week. You know, I like it. I like Grego Gillespie. I'm a fan of Brad Riddell. I like the City Kickboxing team, but their team is going through. I don't know. They're all coming off losses except Kai Kara-France. You know, maybe morale is a little bit low. I don't know how he's feeling, but this is just a difficult style to fight. You know, it really is. Give me Gillespie. I like him in this. I like him in his return fight.
Wow, I agree with all the points you just mentioned. I think it's going to be a frustrating night for Riddell backers. You ever bet those guys where they're challenging a wrestler and they're just on the ground, can't do nothing? I think that these are one of the fights here. Although people might think maybe fight of the night, definitely has the potential to be. I don't see it fight of the night. I think it's going to be a boring fight, and Gillespie is just going to dominate Riddell here. So give me Gillespie and call it a night, really. So we both like Gillespie. On to the main event. We broke down what Derek Brunson brings to the table and what Kevin Holland has here. Who do you like?
You know, sometimes, you know, as a person who bets on MMA, usually you like to favor the younger guys going into fights. You know, this is a young man's game. You know what I mean? But at 37, I think Derek Brunson, he's found some new motivation, especially training out of Sanford MMA now. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. A 3-fight winning streak. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. He proved a lot of people wrong, beating Edmund Shabazian in his last fight. I'm gonna side with the veteran actually. Kevin Holland, he's been in close fights actually. Really, just I hate to say it, I think he got lucky against Jacare. You know, he got taken down and he knocks out Jacare.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, in a weird position. Really, you know what I mean? Like who knocks out somebody, you know, from the back? You know, I don't know. Being on your back. His Darren Stewart loss. I mean, his Darren Stewart fight. He said it himself. He lost that fight. He told Dana White after that Darren Stewart fight that he lost that fight. The Charlie Antiveros fight. Charlie Antiveros took that fight on short notice and was giving him a hard time until Kevin Holland took him down. You know, Joaquin Buckley, he was giving him a tough fight, actually. You know, I like Derek Brunson. I think he has it figured out. Really, just mix it up, take him down. You know, and plus Derek Brunson's been training with the last guy to have beaten Kevin Holland, Brendan Allen. So I'm sure Brendan Allen is giving Derek Brunson points. Yeah, I like Derek Brunson. Give me the underdog. I like the underdog in the main event.
That's crazy. Because this whole card we've been agreeing a lot, and I agree with you here. Here's the thing. 2020 was Kevin Holland's year, but it's 2021 now. And honestly, he is not that skilled. He was gonna lose that Jacare fight, if you guys remember. In the very beginning, Jacare was pushing forward. I think that he had him, but man, the power though. But who has the bigger power? Brunson is a strong guy. He can knock out Holland. As you know, Holland has been knocked out before, but then Holland generates a power just like Anderson Silva did back in the day from this type of frame. I like Derek Brunson here. I think he's the better skilled guy. I just think that Kevin Holland has been getting lucky in a lot of fights. But who is more powerful, would you say?
Correction, Holland never got knocked out.
Wait,
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said, yeah, correction. Yeah, he never got KO'd. His losses were pretty much decisions or chokes.
Wow. Thanks for correcting me there. I felt like he got knocked out by but he didn't get knocked out by anybody, right?
Who are you talking about? You're talking about Holland, right?
Holland, yeah.
Yeah, Holland never got knocked out. Brunson, on the other hand, has been knocked out.
You know what it was? I mixed up the two. Kevin Holland knocked out Buckley. I thought Buckley knocked out Holland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, he almost got knocked out in that fight, though.
Yeah. That's fight. But yeah, so it looks like we got Derek Brunson as the underdog here at a plus 145. All right. So for what you guys have all been waiting for, these are our official bets. These are our official bets that we're putting our real money on. These are different from our leans and picks. So here we go. For my official bets, I'm going to go ahead and start with a 2-team parlay, which pays me out minus 128. It's going to be Julia Avila and Gregor Gillespie. I'm going to go ahead for the main event and put my money on Derek Brunson at plus 145. And now for the Randee, the Parlay Killers official bets, What you got?
My first official bet's gonna be an underdog. Actually, he's gonna start off the card with Bruno Silva. Gonna straight bet him. My second bet of the night will be a two-team parlay with Julio Villa and Grant Dawson.
Wow, I like it. I like it a lot. And now,
I'm actually thinking whether I want to put another three-team parlay with the same guys with Macy Chiasson as well. So, but yeah, most likely it's going to be a two-teamer. If not, I'll probably just change it to a three-teamer. But that's what I'm going to end up doing.
for sure, for sure. And now let's go ahead and reveal our UFC Fight Night 188 lock of the night. Go ahead and tell them, Randee.
So this week's lock of the night is gonna be none other than Macy Chiasson.
For sure. I don't see her losing. I do see this as a matchmaking setup for Macy Chiasson to make a name for herself.
Right.
And I just see her opponent, Marion Reneau, just exiting the sport, really. All right, cool. So that wraps up our episode of our breakdown and predictions for UFC Fight Night 188. Again, my name is Rusty Betts. You can follow me at Bettors Edge Show. And that's Randee the Parlay Killer. You can follow him at Parlay Killer 808. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, leave them down below. All right, till the next episode.